Oh, there you are. Thank you so much for joining us. It's time for another Printify webinar. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today, because we have got a good one for you. We're joined today by our special guests, Melissa and Brad MacDonald, and they are Etsy coaches. What is an Etsy coach, you ask? Well, we're going to get into that in just a minute. But just to let you know, for all you people out there that aren't Etsy merchants, we're going to have plenty of information in this webinar for you too. So don't worry, I guarantee you'll find something you can take away from this. Okay, so let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way before we join our guests here. As always, our webinar is live moderated by our moderators, Krista and Sarang. Please feel free to put in your questions as we go along, and we will deal with every question. No question will go unanswered. And also rewatch this webinar at printify.com/webinar, and then eventually this webinar will make its way onto our YouTube channel. And also, for those of you that are frequent guests to our webinars, you know that we will have a trivia question at the end of this session. Now pay attention, because the trivia question will be based on the information covered. So the first 3 correct answers placed into the chat after we read the trivia question will win $50 of Printify sales credit. So pay attention. All right, well, let's get started. How about everybody put into the chat where you're joining us from, where you're currently located. I always love to see where everyone is from. It's always such an international affair. So go ahead and put that into the chat, state, city, province, wherever you might be, country. We'd love to see it. Okay. All right. Well, as I mentioned before, we are joined by 2 Etsy coaches. Hello, Melissa and Brad MacDonald. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you guys doing today?
We're good. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent. And again, thank you for sharing your time with us. And I can't wait for our audience to hear what you have to say, because as I mentioned, you are successful Etsy coaches, and I know you'll be able to provide all sorts of cool and helpful information that our merchants can learn, or that our merchants can use to become more profitable in their POD journey. So let's get right to it. How did you guys get started, and why did you become Etsy coaches?
Well, I first started on Etsy way back in 2008, and the whole purpose that I started on there is I wanted to be able to earn a full-time income from home without having to leave. At that point, I had 2 little babies, so that's how I started. And yeah, how did you start?
My background is that I was selling businesses as a Main Street business broker and providing valuation. So I was already coaching people, but in 2017, when Melissa got really busy, I started helping her out. And the coaching business just kind of worked really well from brick and mortar over to e-commerce, because people are starting to understand in the brick and mortar back in 2017 that you should have some e-commerce channels to also sell. So it worked out really nice.
Yeah, I started, in 2017 or 2015, I kind of pivoted because I kept getting people asking me, how are you doing on your Etsy shop? Can you help me? So that just sort of morphed into its own thing. And so since 2015, I've done exclusively just helping other Etsy shop owners build their shops.
And for me,
so since the pandemic hit, it sort of supercharged everything and kind of pushed everything in the e-commerce direction. And here we find ourselves, POD merchants and Etsy coaches together. Wonderful. Now I teased it at the top, but can you just enlighten our audience as to exactly what does an Etsy coach do?
So it's pretty simple, the role of an Etsy coach. The role of the Etsy seller, of course, is to be the creative one and create the products. We only exist for one good reason, and that is how to get more eyes on their products, how to increase sales. Okay,
good. Well, now if since you focus on Etsy and coach in that direction, now what exactly do you advise your clients to do? Exactly what are the top points that you would discuss with your clients?
I think the big thing is called like the mysterious giant black hole that Etsy sellers face in trying to make improvements. They always have a barrage of information out there on the internet, and it feels like a lot of their effort is wasted trying to figure out what to do next. Is the information valid right now? Has it expired? All these things are sorting through the mess and providing clarity to their current understanding of what they need to do to grow to their income goals is what really is we help them to focus on.
Yeah, there's a lot of advice out there, and a lot of time it can be super frustrating for sellers because a lot of times it seems super conflicting. So when you have, that's we're big on focusing on what's going on in your specific shop. So we're big on numbers and statistics instead of ideas or fluff, but really basing strategies and how to grow your shop on what your particular niche is, what's going on in your specific shop, because obviously what will work in one shop will not necessarily work in another. So you really need to kind of be married to the back end of your shop, as it were, like get up close and personal with your stats. So we really work with Etsy shop owners. Like that's super important to really know what's going on.
Okay, so you're able to sort of provide a personalized approach to the Etsy, to guiding a merchant through the forest of Etsy to kind of, you know, focus on what matters and kind of leave that other stuff behind, so you're not wasting time, and you're able to put that all together because of your experience that you have as Etsy merchants and coaches, correct?
Yeah, because there's overarching principles. Yes, there's personalization and customization, but there's overarching principles on all the sales products on Etsy that will govern an increase of visibility or increase of views so they can sell more.
Okay. Okay. Great. Well, let's really get into the meat and potatoes of what it is that you do. And I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the visibility score, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that have never heard this term before, but this is something that you focus on heavily. So if you can just take us through exactly what is a visibility score and how does that factor into what you do?
So a visibility score is just what it really sounds like. It's how visible is your listing in front of buyers. How many, and that's measured in terms of clicks per day, views per day. So there's some averages that many people really don't know about. And we try to break them down into milestones. We call them 2 different milestones that every Etsy shop should reach. And we know that among the viewers who are even probably watching today, that if they went to their Etsy shop, what they would find is that the majority of their products get less than 1 visit a day. What we know, like with certainty, absolute certainty, saleable products that are in season and not out of season and not obsolete can get between 3 and 15 visits a day if they're optimized. Now, with somebody looking at their shop, they've got 100 listings and they have 5 that sell, 95 get less than 1 visit a day. That means a significant increase if they get their visibility score up to between 3 visits and 15 visits a day, which is totally possible. That's going to mean a huge difference for them. So visibility score means everything.
Okay. Okay, great. Now, you've demonstrated the importance of a visibility score. So what exactly would I have to do to optimize my visibility score?
I think that's really, to increase your visibility score would really mean to understand what part of those clicks come in for what part of the listings. So as an example, if you take a listing and you break it up into different parts, different sections, and if you had, let's say, 3 visits that come in per day, how many of those visits are attributable just to the image? How many are attributable just to the tags and titles or to the description? Most people don't have a clue. Even the good shops have no idea. So what really is important with a visibility score is actually sorting out what portion of the clicks belong to which portion of their listing. And once they got that figured out, well, they're just going from there. They can really start to get some traction.
Yeah, that's really where knowing all the numbers is super important, and not just guessing, like making your choices on what you're going to do with your listing based on actual numbers and not just guessing.
Okay, so doing a real data-driven approach to optimizing your Etsy success is sort of how the visibility score is optimized, and you're able to find out exactly which points of entry into your Etsy store are working, which aren't, so you know exactly where to optimize. Correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and great. So how do I check my visibility score? Where is this visible? Where can I see my visibility score?
Yeah, so some search engines, they actually have this. They have this in places like eRank. Everbee is working desperately to help everyone to understand what a visibility score is, and new features are added all the time with these search engines. But ultimately, you can go right to your listing in Etsy. You can go to the stats, and you can take a look at the last 30 days and It'll tell you how many visits you're getting. So just in your mind, what you should be thinking is, 3 clicks per day is possible. 15 is optimum. Where do I stand on that scale? And you can actually just look at it yourself and say, my visibility score is way below where it should be, just with a quick glance.
Okay. But it should be noted that at least for our merchants out there that are at the beginning stages of their journey, where they might not be in the position to take advantage of some of these paid tools, improving your visibility score can be done through a certain through improving certain metrics and focusing on certain areas of your Etsy store that are that logically would increase your visibility score. So by doing these practices and improving, then you can improve your visibility score, even though you may not have direct access to it. Would that be an accurate statement?
Oh, absolutely. The more work, the more thoughtful work that's done on the listings is what's going to result in real traction and getting those visits up. So it's all connected with having a plan and a strategy to make sure that the efforts and the changes that are made are not just, oh, I think this is going to work or whatever, but it's well researched and thoughtfully placed so that the increase can also increase at the same time.
Sure. All right. So we've established that visibility scores are important. We've established a little bit about what goes into a visibility score, but let's go into some best practices for Etsy, because that's why people are tuning in. They want to glean all the good stuff from you so that they can apply it to become more profitable merchants. So let's just talk, for instance, about one of these areas in which you can improve your visibility score, mockup images. I'd love to hear your take on mockup images.
Yeah,
Sure.
images are so important. And a lot of people just think, they throw up their image up there or put up their image up there and think, why aren't people buying? But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, right?
Especially, if you think of your images, your thumbnail image that's displayed in your Etsy shop. And if you think of the category that you're in and the many other thousands of listings that there are, if you think of them representing one little pixel, and then all your competitors have their little pixel too. Which is the pixel that wins? That's what a person should be thinking about. It's the ones that are distinguished, the ones that pull the features out. It's the ones that are more attractive to a buyer. And so when we think of creating this thumbnail, the thought should be, how is that buyer going to be looking at it? What parts of the image are their eyes going to go to? Can they see all the quality and features that are there?
Okay. Yeah. And visitors to our webinars or regular viewers are going to have heard me say this multiple times. E-commerce by its very nature is an impersonal business. It's not like you're in a brick and mortar store and you can have a personal interaction with your customer. How you communicate with your customer is through your listings and through your mock-up images, and how you set yourself off apart from your competition is also by optimizing your listings and working on your mock-up images so that you can set yourself out from the crowd and give a person a reason to become a customer at your store versus somebody else's. So I think this is absolutely wonderful, and I'd love to continue down this path. I mentioned listings and SEO. Let's kind of go in that. What do you tell your clients about that?
So with listings and SEO, you have a chance to make your product can become a bestseller instantly if you know exactly what you're doing. But usually these things don't happen just overnight or just randomly. The ones that are setting up shops and instantly succeeding, if you were to talk to these people, many of them have a rich history and experience in what they're selling. It's not like, oh, I just decided last night to do this. I threw up a couple things and I'm just killing it. No, it's definitely planning. They have skills and a history and a background and an understanding of these products, and many times for years. And so it can be discouraging sometimes to think, oh, I'll just throw something up there. And, it doesn't even, it's just like half built and expect to have the same results. It's kind of wishful thinking. In fact, we have a little term for it, Martin, and we call it like some have this pray and spray mentality of, I'm just going to put everything up and see what happens. And
spray and pray, yeah.
What did I say? Okay, pray and spray.
Spray and pray.
I think it works either way, but go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. So, without putting the idea here is that if there's some real thought going into this, you can really do well. But if you're doing things just because, oh, I like this product and I like that product, and you're just selecting whatever with stock images as an example, then there could be a better way. Can I give one example of that, Martin?
Please go ahead.
I was thinking specifically of one thing I don't think that a lot of people think of when they're getting involved with print on demand. And specifically because we deal with that so often, is they'll go and publish a whole bunch of things from a catalog, for instance, and they'll just pick stock images and they'll go and publish and nothing happens. But what if they did things just differently? What if they did this one thing? They went and hired one of the best digital designers that is out there for their product. And they got that person to make only just 1 or 2 mockups for them instead of picking those stock images. And they spent a few $100s on that. And they published that and they looked at the difference between their choices of stock images and the pro digital designer. Would there be a difference? And I would say that $100 or $200 that they spent doing that would be worth its weight incredibly. They would see very quickly that the skill behind it gets the attention, the quality grabs the views, and it would change their entire approach. So instead of just throwing up a couple hundred, do batches of 20 instead. But go to a pro at first, spend a couple $100 if you're going to do this for a living, where you're going to be making a living from this. If this is your big idea, then make sure you are consulting with the experts that know what they're doing, because there's way too many people on there competing for attention for you to be at the low end and not get any views.
Okay, so quality over quantity, putting up something with a little bit of research and effort behind it really is going to be able to set them apart. I love that example. I love that example. And for you merchants out there that are looking for how to connect with experts in, say, in digital marketing, whatever that might be, in the chat right now, we're going to put in a link to the Printify Experts program where you can connect with industry experts that can help you in this area and all other areas of e-commerce and print on demand. So if you need help, don't worry, we got you covered, and you can have this done under the Printify umbrella, where you can connect with these experts. And this isn't something that we make extra money off of. This is just our effort to connect you with those experts and professionals out there to make you a more profitable merchant. So avail yourself of that if that is something indeed that you need. Exactly. Okay, wonderful. Let's go ahead and move on. You mentioned earlier a little bit about products. I'd love to hear your theory and your thoughts on products.
Like how to find winning products is, of course, a huge thing that people wonder about. There's a lot of tools. I know we both have different suggestions on this, but maybe I'll just start off with, like there's Google Trends, there's answerthepublic.com. So every single year as well, Etsy puts out a color of the year. This year it is emerald green. Pantone every year puts out a color of the year. And those are super important to be aware of, because Etsy alone, when they choose to feature shops or products that you're creating or you're selling, even POD, they will be looking for those particular trends. That's why they create them themselves. So to feature. So you want to make sure that you're on trends like that. And, it doesn't necessarily mean recreating a whole new product following every single trend, but the key here is to see what trends are that you see that are coming up, and hopping on those trends and seeing what you can alter to what you currently already have. So it's not necessarily making like an entire new product, but for a color, for example, color of the year, can you take one of your current t-shirts that you're selling and can you offer this color and title it that color of the year? Just adding a little bit of variation to what you currently already have and just being on top of it. That's one way to stay on winning products and trends.
I think it's one thing too, to be able to talk about trends, but to know what a trend really is. As an example, before COVID happened, most people don't know this, but if you were on Google Trends a week before COVID, before they shut down everything because of COVID, you would have seen that face mask sales were just starting to sell each day more than the other. You could see a trend all of a sudden appear, that would rise above the noise, you could say. But then all of a sudden, when COVID shut everything down, face masks pretty much on the same day became the #1 seller, and it got more and more sales. And so the thing is that you can't, with all these different search engines, it's like having a mirror looking to the past. You could see things clearly from right now going backwards, but you can't see clearly going forward. So when it comes to trends, what's important is to have a source that you can read to see where the trends are going. real numbers that actually calculate it, and have like a resource bank that you can trust that's going to have its finger on the pulse for trends right now. So the future, nobody knows. So we have to be thinking of what's coming up. Are my products, are they, being enhanced? Are they being bundled the right way for future trend changes? And to be on the ball, because I mean, everybody's trying to sell. And so knowing what people want is the most important.
Like polarizing political events
Yeah.
are an example. Seeing, new tech trends that are coming out, fashion trends, you can, we won't know, you don't always know 100%, but you can just have a regular weekly, that's what I always suggest, is have a regular weekly, just a little bit amount of time that you spend every single week just researching up and coming trends and staying on top of it. That way it's not overwhelming, but you're kind of make sure that you're on, that you can see what you can do and adjust for your own products.
Sure. Yeah. And if we're talking about niche specific trends, you merchants out there that are dealing with a niche that speaks to you personally, that for which you would be a customer as well. Well, you're already consuming social media and news particular to this trend, because that's the stuff that you're into. So when you see this stuff coming down the pipe and can jump on it, early and take advantage of it with either the colors or the products or whatever it might be, you're going to be doing yourself a major favor, because you're getting in when demand is just kicking off, but then before the rest of your competition gets into that space as well. So, and that sort of leads us to the advantage that print on demand has in those sort of situations, because boom, you instantly have the opportunity to put your design up on a product and literally be selling in minutes. So that's the natural advantage of print on demand. And all you need to do is select, click, publish, and you're already selling. So that's absolutely wonderful. Now, everybody out there always asks me about marketing. They want to know marketing tips. They want to know Etsy specific marketing tips. So I'd love to hear your take on how to market an Etsy store.
Sure. So a lot of times people think right away, I've got an Etsy store, I'm going to turn on all my ads. And then many come back super frustrated because either they are not working, they're not converting, or they're losing a ton of money. So normally we usually recommend that people not waste money on ads right away until they know that their visibility score is up around 90%, and then start working on Etsy ads for those particular listings, because that's when you're going to get the best ROI and not waste your money.
A couple other things there, just to build on what Melissa's saying, is that you also, if you're going to use Etsy ads, think about the product that you're trying to sell. As an example, if it's a $5 product and it's 7 cents a click over on Etsy ads, how many clicks until you actually lose your margin? That's a big deal. And so we generally are saying, be very careful with products that are $5 or $10 and under, whether or not you use Etsy ads. And if you're going to do it, jump in, put it at $1 a day as a budget and see how it responds. But don't be flicking it on and off. Have a specific strategy to get in there, because the moment you turn that Etsy ad off is also the moment you lose position of the algorithm in Etsy ads, which is really Google merch. So have a plan before you get into it, and enter it gradually, not fully, so that you can have a chance to succeed, not throw your margin away. Generally, the shops that do better with Etsy ads are the ones that have a higher ticket price, because there's more margin to lose. So they should also be aiming to have a profit in your pocket at the end of the day with your products of about 40%. Of course, that doesn't apply to digital products, because digital products are like, you make the product, you spend all that time, it's a one-off. But for products that you're actually fulfilling in person, then it's completely different. Although, something like drop shipping, it is more of a passive play.
Okay. Wonderful tip about the Etsy ads, because a lot of people, they do think just turn the Etsy ads on, sales will fall from the sky, but not necessarily recommended unless you get your visibility score up to about 90%. So wonderful tip there. I hope everybody at home got that. But let's continue down the marketing path, and let's talk about social media. Some people think you don't need a social media presence if you have an Etsy shop. I mean, it's a marketplace. Customers are there for the taking, right? So what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's great. So yes, Etsy's awesome that way, because they do have people ready to buy. But if you want to up your chances even further and drive more traffic, of course, social media is where it's at. There's for POD shops, for most Etsy shops, I'd recommend, if you're not already, TikTok and Instagram would be my top two in that order as well. So TikTok, I know it's one of your favorite platforms, right?
That's right.
So it wasn't TikTok, most people think of TikTok as like for teenagers and dancing and doing crazy things, which originally that's what it was for. But again, if we go back to the stats and the numbers, if you look at what's going on in TikTok, the TikTok user, I have numbers here because they're so important. Over 50% of TikTok users are not on Instagram, and over 45% of TikTok users are not on Facebook. So basically what that means is, regardless of what your target audience is for whatever you sell, you're going to find that audience on TikTok in where you wouldn't find them in other places. And that community loves to shop. In fact, one of the most popular hashtags on there is TikTok made me buy it. And it has over like 78 billion views. So TikTok is, and Instagram, but for sure TikTok would be, if you're kind of struggling with social media and not sure what to focus on, I'd say TikTok 100%.
Okay, so TikTok isn't just for the kids anymore. It's for everybody, right?
I'm 45, so if I can vouch for it, it's all good.
Okay, good. Well, we're a couple of 45-year-olds here talking about TikTok, so that's wonderful. Wonderful. So Instagram, TikTok, I love it. Also get your email marketing humming. If you're not collecting email addresses out there, please start doing so. But wonderful stuff. If we can just move on, I'd love to talk about a little bit about your advice to a merchant that is finally getting that success. They got their visibility score up, and they want to take things to the next level. What would your advice be there?
Yeah. So scaling, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, scaling their shop.
So one of the things that somebody should be concerned about is customer retention and how many likely purchases they'll make in their life of this certain product. So sometimes, an Etsy seller is just thinking of, okay, I'm going to sell that one product and that's going to be it. But making an impression so there's retention, and knowing that the life of the average purchaser is approximately 3 purchases from the same person that they bought from originally. Knowing that, we should get out of the mindset of this is my only sale with this person. We should be getting more into the mindset of what can I do to maintain my relationship with that person. And then all of a sudden, the idea of an email funnel starts coming up, a loyalty program, thoughtfully giving them something to keep a connection with. These are the kind of ideas that scaling should have that in mind, that person coming back to purchase again. And there's all sorts of, there's different ways of doing this. There's always new ones being developed, but it should also be a thoughtful strategy of how to keep in connection with that person.
Yeah. So some people, the nice thing about scaling, like some people may think of scaling as opening up additional shops. That could be one way. And others may think of expanding platforms. So moving on to, their own website or Shopify or different things like that. And the nice thing about scaling is that there's integrations, obviously, where they can streamline everything together. So you can have your website, Shopify, Etsy, all from one place. So it doesn't necessarily mean to be too overwhelming.
I think too that scaling should really be a step-by-step process instead of trying to get everything mastered all at once. It should be a methodical way of doing this. It should be, okay, number one, get a block of 20 listings going on Etsy. Once that's mastered and they're up to 100% visibility, then add another block of 20. But once you're in the process of getting that refined, okay, then onto TikTok, then onto Instagram, then it's going to be onto influencers, onto brand ambassadors, onto pitching the press. But one of the errors we see, one of the hardships and challenges is that some are so eager and so driven. In the first couple of weeks, they're just all over the place, getting their social media going, getting all these different things done. Meanwhile, they didn't finish off the project properly with scaling. Scaling should be done one methodical step at a time. Unfortunately, to be patient with it, do a good job of it. It's like a mountain. You want to get to the top. Every one of these steps need to be focused on, get good at it, and then go to the next step, not do everything at once. We've seen results that are positive from those who are approaching scaling in a step-by-step process.
And it doesn't mean slow, like it doesn't have to take forever. It depends on your whole goals, right? Your whole business model. You can hire on people to help you scale quicker, to do the same good job, but just to grow. But it all depends on what specifically your end goal is. And that would kind of decide what your strategy would be in scaling.
Sure. And as coaches, you'd be there every step of the way to guide them along on this journey, of course, right?
That's right.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we've covered a lot of cool stuff. I mean, we now we know what an Etsy coach is. We know what you guys do. We know about a visibility score. We know that you help merchants focus on what matters, that'll actually drive Etsy sales, so they're not focusing their efforts in the wrong direction. We talked about milestones, about 3 to 15 visits per day. We went through some best practices about mock-up images and SEO and the listings and winning products. Marketing on TikTok. That's a good one to take away. And we went over some scaling strategies. And I love what you said about opening up multiple stores, because that is one very straightforward way of scaling up your POD business. You get one Etsy store humming, you get your visibility score up, you've made some mistakes, you've learned from them, and you know what works, and then boom, open up another store in a little bit of a different niche, and apply some of the practices that worked previously and fine tune them to work for another niche, and then you go through that process, and then now you have 2 Etsy shops that are working, and then a third, and then take everything you've learned and take that next step and open a Shopify store, a Wix store, whatever it might be. And before you know it, you need to hire on extra help, and that's what I like to call a good problem. But good stuff, guys. Thank you. Now, if someone were to avail themselves of your services, what is it exactly that you offer? What can they expect from you if they wanted to hire you guys?
Our big thing is to make your Etsy job your full-time job in part-time hours. We take our background, and that's certainly what we're trying to accomplish ourselves. And we think the model is scalable for every small hobbyist Etsy shop to be able to get a part-time business where they provides that full-time income. And so that's really the keystone, the cornerstone of the services that we provide, is to try to get them to that point where it's a full-time living.
Yeah, so we work one-on-one. We have we create our packages, and when we work with people, they're specific to them. So whatever every Etsy shop owner's needs are different. So when we work with them, and our packages and what we offer is just custom to them. So it's unique to each shop owner.
It is, and one-on-one help is often needed. For instance, just to give a quick example of that, when it comes to POD, art collection is just as an example. Somebody makes an original artwork, and then they have a copy that somebody can order from, Printify as an example. And so, having another store, having that scaling allows them to have maybe their original pieces in one shop separated from the copies, which are much less cost, but also all the value is not in one shop. To be able to do this the right way with some experience, the one-on-one experience can really help them to grow an idea. They know this idea is not working. I'm missing part of the market. What do I have to do? Well, some experience helps get them to where they want to get to.
Okay. Yeah. So you're offering a real personalized approach, really tailor it to the individual merchant and the niche that they are focusing on. Excellent. So why should someone sign up? What is it that you offer?
Well, we're big about no fluff. So we're not big into just adding content just for the sake of adding content. So like I mentioned, we focus whether your shop has had 0 sales or 20,000 sales, 50,000 sales. We have that one-on-one strategy that we like to help you grow and scale to specific help with the specific goals.
Yeah. What are the income goals that you want, and how practical, reasonable are these goals? And can they be tied to a set of action or over a period of time? What would the result be? If they threw themselves heart and soul into this project, where would they end up in a month from now, 2 months from now? And trying to have an educated approach to this entire strategy is what we try to help people to accomplish.
Okay. And so what would you offer in terms of a consultation?
Free consultation for really whoever's interested. It's a case-by-case scenario, and we're happy to.
Yeah, we can offer a free coaching call, where we actually can help you right live, like on Zoom, and go over we dive into, the back end of your shop, so we can show you what's going on and how that all works, and give you some actionable steps to move forward. Whether you decide to work with us or not, it's nice to kind of have someone to help you out, because a lot of times people are overwhelmed by that. The stats section, what does that even mean? So we offer complimentary coaching calls to help you out with that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Just to say people can, whoever want, like you can take a listing, say, what am I doing wrong with this? We're happy to help out in that. Take a look under the hood of the Etsy shop, see what needs to be energized and to get that engine going. That's something that we're happy to help out with.
All right. Well, free is good. People love free. If you want to avail yourself of Melissa and Brad's services, we're going to go ahead and put that link for you into the chat right now. So go ahead and click on that and get your free consultation booked today. But we promised you a trivia question. Since we've come to the end of our webinar, thank you guys so much for joining and sharing your story with our audience. We promised a trivia question. So hope you were paying attention. Melissa, Brad, please share that trivia question with us.
So what is the most important score to track in your Etsy listing?
Most important score to track in your Etsy listings. Ladies and gentlemen, put that answer into chat. First 3 correct answers win $50 of Printify sales credit deposited directly into your Printify account. Hope you were paying attention. Brad, Melissa, wow, thank you so much. We've come to the end of our webinar, and I cannot thank you enough. This is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing your tips, your advice with our community at large, and for offering a free consultation to all of our viewers out there. Well, wonderful. I guess this is it for today's webinar. If you would like to revisit this webinar, you are more than free to do so at printify.com/webinars, and again on our YouTube channel, where you can find all of our helpful videos, not just our webinars, but all sorts of helpful stuff to make you a more profitable merchant. So from all of us here at Printify, on behalf of Brad and Melissa, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.